Hey guys, Heartman back for another review. So today we're going to go ahead and take a look at the brand new Ultimate Chucky figure, and this is made by NECA Toys. So just taking a closer look at the box here, it's basically made to look like a Good Guy doll box, like a large Good Guy doll box. So you see this cool picture of Chucky from the movie in the front, and it kind of looks like he's, behind that clear window that you would see on those boxes. So pretty cool. You can see little like cowboy and baseball outfits in the front, and it just says collect all the Good Guy accessories. And then underneath where it says Good Guys, it says he wants you for a best friend. Now if you look at the side, you can see all those cool little pictures of the Good Guy doll and those different jobs like doctor, baseball player, cowboy, soldier. And then on the other side, you can see more of those pictures. You got a fireman, brave Indian, and then you have the construction worker. And then of course you see the NECA logos on here. At the top, it just says Good Guys, and he wants you for a best friend. It's got that cool Chucky logo with the blood dripping. Ages 17 and up, got some choking hazards in here. And then the bottom, you can see all the NECA credits, and then just some of the copyrights for Child's Play. And then on the back, you get these really cool pictures here. You actually get 5 different pictures, kind of just highlighting the different accessories for the figures. And then of course you get that classic back of the box for the original Good Guy box with the little Good Guy waving. Alright, and then back to the front of the box, you can just go ahead and open this with this cool little Velcro piece. And then you can see another cool picture of the Chucky figure on this side. And then if you look to the other side, it just says, "Hi, I'm Chucky. I'm your friend till the end." And then you can see all the accessories and the figures clearly displayed in this window. So pretty cool looking figure. If you look behind him, there's also a little Good Guy box. So let's go ahead and get this out of the box, get a closer look. Okay, now once you remove the inner tray with the figure and the accessories, if you look inside here, you can see where the bag is taped. And what you'll do is just untape just the top of like this little piece of tape kind of on the inner part here. If you untape that, you could just slip this box right out of here. So you can see where it's just like slipping right out, and then that's how you get your Good Guy doll box out. Now it is taped on the sides and on the bottom with this bag. I would just leave the bag just taped in the back, but like I said, just untape that top portion of the bag and you can just slip this box right out of here. Now NECA's done a bunch of these little boxes, whether it was for the Mego version or the original Chucky figure. They've done these boxes before, but of course this is made for just the Ultimate version, so it's a little bit smaller. What I like about it is it actually has that clear window. The original didn't, it was just a hole right here. And then also if you look on the sides, you can see how all the designs are the same, because this is meant to look just like a regular Good Guy doll box, and you can see all those little cool drawings on here. So pretty neat. Okay, and for those of you wondering if you're collecting the Ultimate line, even though the Chucky is a much smaller figure than the other figures are, the box is exactly the same size, so you can display these next to each other with no issues. Okay, so here's Chucky out of the packaging, and he looks really, really good. Now, the head sculpt that you get in the box is just going to be the standard, like, Good Guy doll body, so it's not really like the expressive Chucky, angry Chucky that we've seen before. But I think it's really cool because we do get that little box to put him in, and I think he'd be a cool looking background piece, or just something different that we haven't seen before. So let's go ahead and take a close-up of that head sculpt. Okay, so here's the Good Guy doll head sculpt, and I think they've done a pretty good job here. It's not quite as good as that Scream Factory version, but I kind of thought that was the case just because that version is much different. It's a little bit bigger, and it does have the sewn-in hair, which gives a little bit more doll-like look. But I think this one still looks pretty good, and this is the first sculpted hair figure that NECA's done for Chucky, so I think it looks pretty good, and I like how you can see the teeth showing here. He's got a good expression. See his eyelashes and eyebrows, little freckles, and little ears. But yeah, I think it looks pretty good. All right, and just looking at the rest of the outfit here, it looks pretty good. He's got just those little, overalls that we've seen with Chucky and even Andy wear, just those good guy overalls. You see like all the little white stitching, got the buttons in here, and it looks like all these little designs have been printed on. They're definitely not decals, so you don't have to worry about those coming off or anything. Got the little stripes on here, and for the most part they look cleanly done. Might have just a little bit of imperfections in here. And then you got the little feet. Shoes look pretty good. You got the little bunched pant bottom. You have like they're kind of rolled up so you can see the stripes. So overall, it looks pretty good. In the back, you can see the same. Got the little bunching in the bottom part of these. Now the one thing about this one is with the feet, you don't have those cool sculpted soles where you could see all the little good guy doll pieces. So that is one difference between this one and the bigger versions, but overall I think they've done a pretty good job here. Now one of the biggest improvements with this Chucky over the other Chuckies is he actually has much better articulation, and we started to see better articulation with the Mego versions, but this one even goes just maybe a little bit farther, not much, just a little bit, but it does have good articulation. You can move the head as much as you want. He can look down about that far, and he could look up really high. The arms can go out about that far. They can probably go out just a little bit farther. They can go up about that high, so it can kind of wave to you. You can go down that far. He's got the single hinged elbow, and then he can turn the wrist as much as you want, and he can also kind of cradle the wrist a little bit. Now as far as the torso, you still don't really have like an ab crunch or anything, but it is a doll body, so I guess he wouldn't be able to do that much anyway. But yeah, there's no ab crunch here. The leg can go out about that far and about that far back. You do have the single hinge knee joint. You can move the feet up and down, and then you can actually you can pivot the ankles a little bit. It's a little bit tight, but it does have ankle pivot in here. And then he could do it almost a split. So yeah, I mean, overall, the articulation's really good. It's probably the best for any Chucky figure that I've seen to date. One of the absolute coolest things about this Ultimate Chucky is you get 4 different unique head sculpts, and I think this really makes the figure, because you can make a Chucky from at least 3 different movies, really 4 different movies, but they look fantastic. So let's go ahead and get a close-up of those head sculpts. Okay, so for the first head sculpt you have is from Child's Play 1. Now this particularly looks just like the scene at the very end of the movie where he's trying to, get Andy. He's got to knock Andy out and play hide the soul. So I think they've done an excellent job with this particular head sculpt. Now you can see he almost has a unibrow, and that is true to the movie. That is what he looked like. Some people were probably going to be surprised about that, but that, if you go back and watch the movie, he really does have like pretty much a unibrow. But I love how you can see the teeth showing through here. I mean, it looks excellent. You can see all the different teeth behind that mouth. You got the freckles still in there, and you can see he almost has like this like receded type of hairline. And again, that's what it looked like in the movie. But yeah, I think they've done an excellent job with this head sculpt. And then the next one you have here is from Child's Play 3. This is from the end of the movie. He basically has his face cut off by this Grim Reaper, which was a prop in a carnival ride, and he was standing too close to it, so he had half of his face cut off. And of course he was screaming after that happened. So he's kind of, He looks like he just had it cut off, or maybe he's, I don't know, he's kind of happy looking though. So maybe this is just a different scene from the end of the movie. But man, this is the most brutal Chucky head sculpt I've ever seen. And you can see all the different, it looks like muscle in here. So he was definitely becoming more human, and he always seems to become more human at the end of these movies. But excellent job. I like how wild the hair looks. So yeah, they've done a really nice job with this one. Okay, now the fourth and final head sculpt is probably my favorite, actually. Now this is from The Curse of Chucky. Recently they had the sequel come out, which was called The Cult of Chucky. Curse of Chucky came out around 2013, I believe. And it was basically the return to back to the basics, you know, bringing back Chucky and everything we liked about him. And I really like that they included that in here. You could see he has all the scars that he's taken over the years. You know, part of this outer part of the eye is all cut out. He's got this little smirk going here, and that's about what he looked like in the movie. He didn't really, you know, have those crazy screaming faces going on quite so much. He was much more confident in this movie. Also, his hair was a little bit longer in this movie, and I like that they've done that here. You can see how much longer the hair is next to like the good guy doll head. So they've done a really good job with that. Okay, so interchanging the heads isn't too hard, but it is a little bit of pressure the first time you pop this off, but it gets a little bit better as you go on. I'm just going to go ahead and get a good grip on that. You can see he's got the large hole underneath, and this is the large peg in case you're using those NECA headstands. And then you're just going to pop that on real good. Pops on pretty good now, and there he is with that Child's Play 1 angry head sculpt. Man, it looks awesome. Alright, now before we get to the accessories, you do get a few different interchangeable hands. You get two different gripping hands, one for the right hand, one for the left hand. And then you get another one that almost looks like a waving hand, but it's just a little bit more in a gripping pose, and that's probably going to be used for the yardstick. And then to interchange the hand, it's fairly simple. You're just going to grab the hand here, and it seems to pop out pretty easy. It's just that little peg here and then a hole on one side. And then you're just going to pop this in. Get a good grip on the hand because it is small, but the hands seem to pop in and out very easily. Alright, now each movie has a bit of its own accessory that you can use. Now for the first Child's Play, you get the baseball bat, the good guy hammer, and then you get the voodoo knife. Alright, here he is with the baseball bat, and this is what he used to knock Andy out. And here he is with the good guy doll hammer, and he actually kills Aunt Maggie in this, which is pretty much the first kill of Child's Play. And then here he is with the voodoo knife. This small, it's amazing how detailed they got this. I mean, the handle's got all these cool little you know, shapes and designs, so very cool. Okay, so moving on to Child's Play 2, you have a few different accessories for that as well. The first one you have is this little gold-handled knife. And then you also have this part of the arm. This is actually an interchangeable arm piece, and I'll get to that one. And then the last one you have for Child's Play 2 is the yardstick, which looks pretty cool. So let's go ahead and get those on. Alright, here he is with the gold-handled knife. Okay, now in order to get this arm piece on, you'll actually have to remove this part of Chucky, and his arm will just come off. Now you're probably gonna get some paint coming out of here. It's just on the peg. It should be no big deal. And then you'll just go ahead and plug this new part into him, and then it just takes a little bit of pressure to get this in, and then it just snaps in just like that. And man, this thing looks really cool. Now this is from the end of Child's Play 2. Chucky is basically in a factory, and the girl named Kyle, she smashes his hand in this part of like factory equipment. It's like a gate, and he gets his hand stuck, so he has to basically take his hand, he rips his hand out, and then he takes that same gold-handled knife and he takes the grip off, and then puts this in a vise and basically just slams his hand into there and tapes it up. So this is just some tape. And I think they've really replicated this nicely. All right, and the last accessory for the Part 2 Chucky is the yardstick, and I think this looks really good. Now you can see it says good guys on here, so it is a good guy ruler. It says Play Pals Toys on the left there. So it looks pretty neat, and they got all the little markings and everything. And when I put this in his hands, I did use that more opened right hand, and then it's just kind of resting in the left hand. So yeah, this looks really good. And this is a pretty thin piece here, but it is flexible, so it's not going to just bend, but it's not all warped or anything. They've done a pretty good job with this piece. Okay, so for the Part 3 Chucky, you mainly just have this handgun here, you have this bigger knife, and then you have the straight razor. Okay, so here he is with the straight razor, and I think this is an awesome weapon. He actually kills the military barber with this. He cuts his throat with it after the barber tries to give Chucky a trim. Alright, and here he is with that really big knife, and you can see, just looking at the size of his body and the size of the knife, this thing is huge. Now, I can't remember if he actually killed anybody with this knife in Part 3, but I do know that one person that he was going to kill with this blade actually had a heart attack, so it didn't even use the blades. Alright, and the final weapon for Part 3 is the handgun. And this is basically at the end of the movie, Chucky does resort to this little handgun. And it looks pretty cool and menacing with this thing. Now for the hand, I did put the more open hand in there just so you could hold this better. Unfortunately, you don't get a trigger hand. The gun itself's got some cool details going on with the handle. Both sides look pretty much about the same. And for the final weapon, here is the Curse of Chucky with the kitchen knife, which is his signature weapon in that movie. Now, just in case you want, Chucky also has a left gripping hand, so you could put any of the different weapons in the left hand pretty well, except for maybe the handgun. But I believe in the first one, he did hold the hammer in the left hand. Okay, so for the first comparison, here is the different good guy boxes next to each other, and these are all NECA Toys versions. Now you can see there's definitely a size difference between all these, but it's worth noting that the Mego version is actually the same size as this one and can fit in that box. Okay, and for the next comparison, here is the Scream Factory Mego style Chucky next to the Ultimate Chucky, and you could definitely see there's a huge difference in size, but also looking at just the faces, like I said, I still like the Scream Factory one just a little bit more. And for the next comparison, here is the Ultimate Chucky next to the older NECA Chucky figures. This is from the Cult Classics line, and then this is from the Seed Chucky box set. Now, even though these are bigger figures, I really think this Ultimate is just a much better looking figure. Now you can see the scale is definitely much different. These are more in line with the Mego, like the Mego scale. They're about the same size actually. Now they do have the sewn in hair on these, but there is just no articulation in this torso or legs or anything. So it is a big difference. Now the one thing I do like about these old ones is I definitely like the feet better. I wish they could have got these type of feet on the Ultimate version. And here's all the NECA Chuckies together. Now one thing people were probably wondering is why they didn't get a Bride of Chucky head sculpt or Seed of Chucky head sculpt with the Ultimate figure. And the reason is if you look at this outfit, it is completely tattered and sewn together. It just wouldn't work with the Ultimate body. It would have to have a different outfit in order to get that to work. So that's probably the reason why NECA didn't do that. Also, the shirt is a little bit different than the original. NECA Chucky that they made, and this is just like the Scream Factory one, but it has the angry face to it instead of the happier face. But I haven't opened this one, so I didn't show you a full comparison. But what I did want to show you is if you look at these faces, you could definitely see a huge similarity. Okay, and here's how Chucky stacks up next to some of the other NECA horror figures. You have Sam from Trick or Treat, the Ultimate Freddy from Nightmare on Elm Street, then you have the Ultimate Part 3 Jason, and then the Michael Myers from Halloween. And I think he scales pretty good here, actually. He could probably be a little bit smaller, but I don't think I would want him any smaller. I think he's just right, and I would definitely display him in a 7-inch scale collection. And here he is next to some of the Mego scale figures. You have the Kevin from Home Alone, you have the Roy, and I put a different hockey mask on him, and he's from Friday the 13th, Part 5. And then you have Snake Plissken from Escape from New York. Alright, and for the final comparison, here he is next to a couple superhero characters, or at least superhero style characters. You have the Deadpool from Marvel Legends, and then you have the Harley Quinn Suicide Squad version, and that's made by SH Figuarts. Alright, so that's my review of the NECA Toys Ultimate Chucky. And I've got to say, I am extremely happy with this figure. Of all the Chuckies I have, most of which are NECA Toys, I think this is probably the best one. I'm glad that they're also doing the retro line, because I still like the ones with the sewn-in hair, and particularly that Scream Factory figure was an amazing looking figure, and I think that's one of their best as well. But those have the realistic clothes, they do have the good guys' souls, and just little differences between them that maybe they couldn't get on this smaller scale. So I'm glad that NECA is actually giving us two different lines instead of trying to do everything the way they used to. And it just, the older ones just don't compare when you look at the Ultimate and the Retro. Alright, so if you want this Chucky now, you can get it on NECA's eBay or Amazon, or you can actually order it from Toys R Us. Stores should be getting them soon, possibly a week or so, so be on the lookout for that. Thanks for watching my review. Please subscribe, please like the video, and if you have a comment or question, please ask. And until next time, guys, see ya.